Welcome to Salaam Nerds Podcast. We do reviews and recaps of your favorite TV shows, movies, and current events.
Yo, it's the Salaam Nerds. My name is Steve, aka Watch the Geek. I'm here with my boy Chad.
We drop live episodes on YouTube on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Thank you to all our supporters. Please help us by subscribing and leaving a good review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. All episodes can also be found everywhere podcasts are found.
Yo, Salaam Nerds. It's your boy Neebs, aka Watch with Neebs, and we are here for a special Saturday night main event recap podcast with our special guest, Nuv. Welcome back to the show, Nuv. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you, man?
Good. Listen, I wasn't even sure we were going to do this one because I was like, is it a PLE? Is it not a PLE? Like, what is it? It's Saturday night, but like it's on Peacock, but it's also on NBC and it's free. And it's like, it was bizarre. There was commercials. There's a lot of things I liked about it. There's a lot of things that I'm like, this is a little underwhelming. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think I had low expectations, so I wasn't so disappointed because I didn't particularly love it or enjoy it too much. But I went in kind of thinking it was basically a televised house show, is the best way to explain it. Or just a standard episode of Raw or SmackDown, to be honest, just with less promos, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much what it was. It was these, for the most part, underwhelming matches. And not that they were bad, they were just, TV matches, as you'd see on Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah. Like you would expect more. I guess like that's the thing with this. You didn't really know what to expect because there was an element of like it being a PLE. They were hyping it up and saying, "Oh my god, for the first time ever, it's Saturday night main event since like the 90s." And it was really cool. I really enjoyed seeing the old school wrestling ropes, the red, white, and blue, the referees wearing the blue shirts. I like the where the ramp where the audience comes down and they could actually touch the wrestlers. Like it had a lot of old school feel. I really did enjoy that. It was very nostalgic. But much like Hollywood, they use the nostalgia to suck you in, but then they don't really give you anything with substance. And that's really what I felt about this show.
Yeah, that kind of sums it up perfectly for what my opinion is on the show is like, and I've never really watched a Saturday night main event.
I have. They were cool because like the thing is with the Saturday night main event, it was back in the day, it was like a big thing to watch as a little kid because all of the wrestlers were these huge, bigger than life characters. So you were like literally watching like comic book superheroes fighting. Like Saturday night main event was the episode where like Papa Shango put a spell on the Ultimate Warrior and he started spazzing out, right? Like I still remember that. It's in my head. And it's really cool. And it was a big deal for a lot of people because everybody would talk about it the next day at school and be like, "Oh man, did you see Saturday night main event?" But nothing really like I think amazing happened here where you could be like, "Oh man, this was worth talking about."
Well, one thing did, but they didn't air it.
That is also very interesting to me. This new style of like not airing stuff and then like everybody finding out on social media, which like in a way, I get it. It got 45 million views. That is no like, and that doesn't even count all the people that like took videos of it on their own cameras and like random people reposting it. That's just like the WWE account. That's so crazy. It I do see the appeal of it, but it's also like it kind of makes your show not feel as grand because it didn't happen on the show.
Yeah. And I think the issue is other things didn't happen. If other things had happened, then it would have been fine to do this off air, right?
Yeah.
Because I do like when they do that kind of stuff when it's like small things, right? Like, oh, remember Kevin Owens attacked Cody Rhodes after the show. Like,
Yeah.
that's fine. I think that works, right? But this is like, so you also have to understand the significance of Kevin Owens doing the package pile driver.
Mm.
I guess we're just skipping all the way to there right now, unless you want to go through the card
No,
first.
let's start with the Cody Rhodes Kevin story first. Let's do it.
Yeah, so Kevin, that was one of his finishers in the independent scene when he was an independent wrestler.
Mm.
But he came to WWE and they don't do pile drivers for safety. Totally makes sense.
Yeah,
Totally
yeah.
fair.
I mean, like,
So
we know that Owen Hart broke Stone Cold Steve Austin's neck that way. A few other wrestlers
yeah,
have breaking necks that way. I've had my cousins do the moves on me and almost break my neck. So, like, I get it. You don't want kids to replicate these moves because it's really easy for kids to be like, "Oh, that's my favorite wrestler. I'm going to replicate his finishing move." Like that happens all the time, and I totally support them banning that move because it is a very dangerous move. 1 inch, and it's the difference between being paralyzed and getting up and no selling, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, if you listen to Stone Cold talk about it, it definitely impacted him. Like he was fortunate that he didn't like totally get paralyzed, but it totally impacted his career and his longevity as a wrestler because like and his style, he had to change up his wrestling style too because it messed him up, right? To get
Yeah,
dropped on his head. So I get it. So I get banning it. I get not having it. And I see them kind of pulling back some on that. Like recently Kevin Owens did the pile driver to Orton and now he does the package pile driver to Cody. So I'm like, these are big moments. Why would you not air it on your main show? Like, social media hits is great and all, but you and I are creators, right? And
right.
like, virality doesn't necessarily equate to like longevity in terms of
Yeah,
fandom of like building a fan base, right? And
yeah,
like,
yeah.
cool, 45 million people have watched that, or there's 45 million views, not as 4 million, but that doesn't mean that like all those people are going to continue watching week in and week out, especially when you give a show like this where you gave us no reason to tune into the next one.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, for example, this episode was on NBC. That is primetime national television. That means there are so many people who have never watched wrestling seeing it for the first time. And the most exciting thing that happens on the show, you don't share it. You don't show it. Like no one who's never watched wrestling before is going on Twitter and going, "Oh, I wonder what happened with Kevin Owens." Like no one's doing that. And
Exactly.
it was an opportunity to bring in new viewers, fresh viewers, new eyes. And the entire thing was like there was nothing about it where a first time person would watch it and be like, "Oh man, I need to get into wrestling." It was more of like more of the same. Like at least like Raw and SmackDown have the promos and the smack talking and the behind the scene things that happen. But it didn't even feel like it was that. So like Saturday Night Main Event, it's like they're adding it to their arsenal because there's another one coming out,
Yeah.
but it doesn't seem like it's worth going to. Like I almost paid tickets to go to this, and I'm really glad I did it.
Same. Yeah, I live like 20 minutes away. I could have gone easily. And whatever reason, my brother and I we were thinking about, we were talking about, it, and then we just decided not to. And then we watched it, and I was like, thank goodness I didn't go. Like, it
Yeah,
just wouldn't have been. And like, I mean, the crowd was good, but it's like sometimes I'll go to a show just because like if I think the crowd's gonna be really good, so I'm like, oh,
yeah,
I can at least take something away from it. Of like, okay, I had a good crowd experience, but it's like even the crowd wasn't like super. They
yeah.
weren't bad, but there were only a few moments where they really like got into the show,
When
and
you
I
and me
don't
went
blame
to
them.
when you and me went to SmackDown, the crowd was crazy. Like it was a
Insane.
lot of fun. That
Insane.
episode of SmackDown, I feel like was better than this episode of Saturday Night Main Event, and it was like I get it. It was cool to see Jesse the Body Ventura. Jesse the Body Ventura, by the way, did a great job in commentary.
Yeah,
I like the way that like I feel like a lot of the new color commentators, they kind of just like play the middle a little bit,
yeah,
like Pat McAfee and Michael Cole. But like I like the old school Jesse Ventura, Jerry Lawler style of
mhm,
just villainizing the face
yeah,
during the thing where he's talking about Cody Rhodes and he's going like Cody Rhodes the cheater. Look at him using the chair. He's a damn cheater. And I was like, you're making sense, Jesse the Body Ventura. You're making sense.
yeah. I think for the most part they keep it more so center. I think Wade Barrett is one of those who does play a bit more of the heel, but not to the level of like Jesse or Bobby the Brain Heenan or something
Yeah.
like that. You know, like it's mixed, and I don't mind it, but yeah, there is definitely an enjoyment and an entertainment level to that style. Like the second he started, you know, it's basically trying to gaslight everybody
Yeah.
by being like, well, when you betray your friend, like Cody Rhodes did, and I was just like, oh, okay, he's going heel on this. This is great because like
Yeah.
that opening part, you could be like, oh, Kevin Owens betrayed. No, he was just like Cody Rhodes. I was like, oh, he's just gaslighting the crowd.
I enjoyed that. I think that was my
Absolutely.
favorite thing in the entire match with Jesse the Valley Ventura's commentary about Cody Rhodes. I thought it was so funny.
Yeah.
I really liked it. And like the match overall, I feel like was a typical Cody Rhodes match. Like I thought we were going to see something a little bit more from Kevin Owens because he was so vicious to him in all of these things. Like, you know, when he had the other match, he had a chance to go for his leg, he didn't do it. He had a chance to do an apron power bomb, he didn't do it. Why didn't he do it this time around? Like they could have just like replayed that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess they're trying to milk it, maybe trying to get one more match out of it. But like WrestleMania and Royal Rumble are right around the corner. They need to build something up because right now I don't care who Cody fights at WrestleMania. He has no big rivalry, and if it ends up being, you know, freaking Kevin Owens or Randy Orton, it's like there's not enough buildup for it to be exciting.
Um. So with I don't think it's gonna be Kevin Owens just because they have this going on right now. I don't think the feud's gonna continue past Rumble, if even that. Randy Orton makes a lot of sense to me because they have so much history together. So
Yeah.
like they don't need like 4 months to build it up because they literally have so much to play off of. Like
Mm.
Cody Rhodes' first match on Raw on the main roster was against Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Then Randy Orton brought him into his faction known as Legacy, which was all second, third gen wrestlers.
Yeah.
You know, so he trained Cody. So they have a lot of history, and that's the other thing. They're both like these second generation wrestlers. So there's a lot of history already written for them that they can
Yeah.
play off of. So that I don't think needs too much. So I'm okay if and I feel like they kind of just do something similar here where it's like he blames Cody
Yeah.
for Kevin giving him a pile driver. Like instead of being mad at Kevin, he'll be mad at Cody. And
Yeah.
he's like, well, if you didn't do the stupid thing, you know, and so I could see that definitely as a possibility for them two at a Mania match, which would be really cool. I don't think Randy would win that one, but stranger
Yeah.
things have happened.
I don't know, but I think whoever wins the Royal Rumble is going to go after the other championship belt. They're going to go after whoever has the World Heavyweight belt because I think Cody is meant to be a hero or a champion for a while. I think they're going to have his streak go on for maybe over a year, maybe over 2 years. Who knows?
Yeah, I could definitely see it going more than a year for sure. I don't know if 2 years, just because like we just got out of a 4-year long reign, so it's like, why wouldn't you, you know, change it up a little and also not just to not make things stale. Like I this is one thing about Triple H's booking that I'm getting tired of is it's just too long. Too
Yeah.
long. Like there's long-term storytelling that I want, but then there is like it's not just that it's long, it's that it's repetitive, right? And so like a
Yeah.
perfect example is Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. Like
Yeah.
it's just the
Same thing
same
over.
thing over and over each week. One person gets the better of the other, then the next person the next week, and it's just like I don't care. I don't care
Yeah.
anymore.
And that's when you really realize like the special skill of CM Punk because he also had a really long feud with Drew, but it did not feel stale at all. 3 huge matches, and it was really, really big, and I really, really enjoyed that.
Because they kept adding to it, right? That's the big thing with the feud. If you look at it, right? So it starts, Drew injures him, he's taunting him, then Punk costs him at Mania, right? Okay, now you've elevated one. Now Drew is pissed because that was the one thing he wanted was to be the champion, and Punk cost him the title. And then Punk costs him the title again. So now
Yeah.
we're just raising that a little bit. You're still doing the same, but then Drew attacks him, like they show Punk bloodied. You know, Drew attacks him in Chicago, in Punk's hometown, leaves him bloodied, takes his bracelet. And they explain the significance
Yeah.
of the bracelet. Now you've elevated it more, right? So then they finally have a match, and Drew gets the win, and Punk's not done. Drew attacks him again. Like they just keep pushing the boundaries, pushing the feud further and further. Liv and Rhea have not had the feud pushed any
No.
further once Dom cost Rhea the title. It was
Yeah.
just like, okay, we're having matches, but like there's no progression of the story much. And
Yeah.
that's its biggest issue.
Yeah, it does feel a little convoluted at the moment.
Like, this is my thing. This is what I was hoping for. I knew it probably wasn't going to happen, but I was like, you should have had Rhea cost Liv the title at Saturday night's main event.
Yeah.
One, that elevates their feud. Two,
Yeah.
it gives Io the championship, and now you're changing the pace of that whole dynamic and like the women's division in that way too. So
Yeah.
it accomplishes two things, because at this point, the two of them don't need the title for their feud. Like,
No, they
it's not
don't.
about the title. I mean, they're trying to make it about, but it's not. It's just about these two people hating each other.
Yeah.
Very similar to Punk and McIntyre, but it didn't play out the same way.
No.
So actually you accomplish three things. The third thing is you make Saturday night main event mean something.
Yeah, a title change would have been a big deal at a Saturday Night Main Event thing. And we knew what was going to happen with Cody and Kevin. So I don't know. We'll see. So since we're talking about Morgan, let's talk about the Morgan and Io Sky match. Io Sky gave her a knee to the face and got her a bloody nose. That was not pretty. Ouch. But Morgan took it like a champ. I thought that was really cool to see. But what are your thoughts about that match?
I thought it was a good match. I mean, like, I love Io, so I'm always happy to watch Io Sky perform.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good match, but it was not anything really worth talking about. Like, it was a good match, like, but it's an expected match, right? Like, if
Yeah.
these two had a bad match, I'd be like, how would you two have a bad match? Like, these are two
Yeah.
talented wrestlers, and they told, like, but they did, it was lacking in, like, story, first of all, and it was lacking
Yeah.
in, like, the actual action as well. It was just a very
It didn't
standard.
it didn't really build up at all, other than the fact that they were in War Games together. But like even in War Games, I don't remember any big spot where it involved Io versus Morgan. It was all about Rhea and Morgan.
Right. Exactly. That was the problem, is like they put this title match, I guess, because they wanted to hold off on Rhea Liv.
Yeah.
I don't know why you didn't just do that here at Saturday Night Main Event. Like, you had just done the two of them. That would have been just as effective, but instead you have Io lose clean too, which was like, why have her lose clean? Just weird decision to have this match. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. It was weird to see them not make a big deal out of it. The other thing is like the fact that like no title change hand, it really made it like it set the precedent for Saturday Night Main Event, and like, hey, this is not really one you need to tune into. And like I would never go to one now, and I wouldn't go like over to my brother's house to watch it. Like usually when it's like a big PLE, I'll go over their house and we'll have like pizza and wings and like
Yeah.
we'll watch it with the kids and stuff like that. This was like, nah, just watch it at home. It like, why would you do that for your first ever
Right.
PLE like this?
Personally, I probably am not even going to watch the next one live. I'll just like
Yeah.
check the results, and then if we do the podcast, I'll watch it just for the
I
sake of
don't.
this.
I only want to do the podcast because I want to talk about all the old school stuff. I
Fair
really
enough.
enjoyed the nostalgia. I enjoyed the old ropes, the referee, like the audience being so close to the ramp where they can actually touch the wrestlers and stuff like that as they come out. Like that was so cool to me. Like I remember back in the day, the Ultimate Warrior would like run through those and like everybody would be touching them.
Yeah.
It was a cool feel. It was very nostalgic. I really, really enjoyed it. It did, touch a little part of me
Yeah.
of my childhood. But yeah, it didn't live up to the fact that it didn't have quality matches and quality story.
Yeah, and they really did hype it. Like, even the match card itself, I'm like, oh, this sounds like a pretty good card. Like Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, with
Yeah.
a strong, like a solid story built in.
Yeah.
Maybe not the strongest, but still, like, okay, Kevin turned on him, and there's all this like animosity, and they had that really great promo segment a couple weeks back. Like, I was like, oh, they're building this. This is like seems like worth watching.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a regular show. Like if you told me this was a SmackDown or a Raw, I would have been like, yeah, that sounds about right. That
Yeah.
seems like how the show goes. So like and it shouldn't be that. Like it should be another show. It should be its own thing. Maybe you need to feature, like I know you want to feature the big names to get people to watch, but maybe you need to feature more of the lesser names, give them the opportunity to showcase here. If you're not going to use it for anything beyond showcasing anyway, you might as well just like feature these smaller names so they can get their name out more.
Yeah.
Maybe with like one big main event that of like big names, right? Because otherwise I just don't know what the point of this was. Yeah, it's like, and the thing that bothers me going back to the package pile driver thing is you spend money on these shows, right? Again, I get the clicks and the likes and the views and all that, but like
Yeah.
TV production costs money, and you're basically throwing away money by not having that segment on the show.
Yeah.
And maybe there's some people were speculating that, oh, maybe like NBC wouldn't allow. I don't know, obviously. I don't know all that back behind the scenes stuff. I haven't heard anything about that. These are just fans speculating and rumoring. But it just doesn't make sense why you wouldn't have that bit. Like if that had happened on the show, I would have still been like, okay, at least got to pay attention to the next one.
Yeah.
Maybe I won't watch it live. Maybe I'll keep up with the results while I'm doing something else. But I gotta pay attention because things happen,
Right.
But nothing did. So
No, nothing did. The other thing, the storyline that I felt like could have had a really good story was the Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn stuff, because I like this storyline a lot because it actually plays to both sides a little bit, because like what Drew McIntyre says basically about Sami Zayn is so accurate. Like it's true. The fact that like the bloodline treated him so badly, he finally got out under their shadow. And what did he do when Roman called? They all came back, and he didn't even utter a single apology. And I'm like, yo, Drew, hitting bars, man, hitting bars. I find myself agreeing with Drew. And then Seth Rollins comes in, and you realize like they hate whatchamacallit, Roman Reigns so much that they're like, as soon as he defeats the bloodline, he's gonna have his power back. We don't want to give him that. And when you think about it, Solo hasn't done anything to these guys. Solo actually helped Drew McIntyre in defeat Cody Rhodes in a match. So it's one of those things where, like, if you really sit there and think about it, Drew McIntyre's right. Even though he's the heel, he's right. And I feel like they should have done more with the story. What are your thoughts?
I wouldn't go so far as to say he's right.
Right. I'm giving Jesse Body Ventura a heel.
I think he's definitely justified in his feelings about it, but I don't think he's necessarily right. But because also Solo cost him one of his title matches against Roman Reigns, which he seems to just forget completely. Like literally, it was not this past year. It was the prior Clash at the Castle that was in Wales. But he had a title match against Roman Reigns, and the Usos were banned. So like, as fans, we thought, oh, this might be a chance that like Roman will drop the title, because it's like it's in Drew's home, like whatever continent he's not in Scotland, but like we're like, oh, it's like close enough to Scotland. The Usos are banned. Solo wasn't with them at this time. That was actually Solo's debut, and he debuted.
Oh, it was.
He was in NXT, but it was his main roster debut, and he debuted, costing McIntyre the match. And so him just forgetting, and I mean, you can argue like, oh, well, like Roman was the one in charge, so it ultimately all falls back on Roman.
Yeah.
But Solo's also his own man that can make his own decisions, as he is doing now, as we've seen.
Sure.
So, like Drew's selective, as are most wrestlers and most heels especially. They're very selective in their feelings. But he there's a lot of justification. I like that you can see his side, whether someone actually agrees or not. It's easy to see his perspective and why he would behave the way he does and why he would attack people and do whatever he does. Like, it's not totally just like, I'm a horrible person. It's like, no, like, he has a point. You know, again, right or wrong is subjective, but he has a point about like, yeah, why did you like that was I think I talked about that when we were talking about war games. It was like, yeah, Sammy, where you didn't get an apology. Jay didn't get an apology. Why did you go back to Roman? Like,
right?
So it's it's entertaining and it's interesting, and that's really the goal of wrestling, is to keep things interesting. And so it's not about who's actually right or wrong, right? It's about being fun and entertaining. And Drew's doing that, and he's been doing that for a while now, since he turned heel, honestly. And so yeah, I'm all for it. But I thought the match itself was good. It was a really good match, but it was ultimately like, again, it would I don't know what the end game is with Drew, but I knew like Sammy was just a stepping stone kind of situation here.
Well, now we don't know, because in the following Raw, Sammy and Drew are fighting in the background, and it looked like Drew was coming after Seth Rollins to attack him. And does Sammy come in the way to protect Seth Rollins, or does Sammy come in the way because he's sour over his loss from the night before? Because that's not really in Sammy's character, to just randomly attack somebody simply because he lost.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess they maybe are. I don't know. Actually, my thought was like, oh, maybe they're like kind of trying to inflate the situation. You know, like, oh well, Drew's been attacking me and my friends, so like, even though I lost, I just need to, you know, someone needs to stop him type of mentality. I don't know. That's my weak justification off of the top of my head, but
I really thought we were gonna see Jay come in and help Sammy, because how are you gonna have Saturday Night Main Event without main event Jey Uso? Like, how is that happening?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I said I don't know where they're going with Drew, because he's already feuded with Sammy and Jay in the past.
Yeah.
So like, doing it again, that can't be the end game. The end game has to be something bigger for him.
Yeah.
I don't know what, but like,
I don't know. Do you think we might see Seth and Drew team up?
Man, as like a Seth heel turn?
Why
else would he team up? I mean, they might turn Seth heel because Punk's not going to get booed. So
dude, I think Punk has a bigger.
Punk 100%.
Like they didn't even chant his silly song as much as they chanted his name.
You're not getting people to boo Punk yet. You really need him to do something pretty egregious for them to boo him, and even then, I don't know. I don't know if they would boo him.
Yeah,
Punk might be bulletproof at this point just because of like his goodwill with the fans. Like, they were chanting his name when he wasn't here for 10 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like, there were always segments, probably maybe not every single Raw, but many Raws, people were chanting CM Punk if they were just bored, if they didn't like the segment, if they didn't like a particular wrestler. Like, people were just chanting CM Punk for 10 years.
That's insane.
Yeah, so I don't see them, like, he would have to like run over someone's dog to like get booed.
That's crazy. Oh man. All right. That's crazy.
He had the fans to chant for his own dog. Like, I don't think you can get people to boo him at this point.
That's so crazy.
But
the power that CM Punk has.
I also will not put it past Punk, because Punk is an incredible heel. And so I could see him finding a way to do it. You know what he did? He was feuding with The Undertaker to face Undertaker for the streak. And the guy who played Paul Bearer had passed away during that time. Like, literally in the build up to their feud, Paul Bearer passes away. So Taker does this tribute with the urn and everything. Punk steals the urn, beats up Taker, and then pours the urn out onto him.
That's crazy.
Obviously, it's not his real ashes, but like in storyline, like, that is diabolical.
That's insane.
And my favorite line, he comes out and he's like, I just want to tell you, I'm so sorry for your loss at WrestleMania. Like, bro. And he had Paul Heyman. I just remember he had a Paul Heyman come out dressed as Paul Bearer, and he did the oh yes and everything.
Oh my god, I gotta go find this clip.
Oh,
That's
this is
hilarious.
all after the man passed away, by the way. Like Punk is when he's a heel, he is awful, awful man. He I can go on forever because he had this whole run in 2009, 2010
Yeah,
as the straight edge savior. And he was
yeah,
talking about how being straight edge, not drinking, smoking, doing drugs makes him
yeah,
better than everyone else.
yeah,
And he grew out his hair, his beard, he was like faux Jesus essentially. And like he just like had this whole like cult following. He had like this society, these
yeah,
followers, this faction, and that and he was my favorite moment is he sings happy birthday to Rey Mysterio's daughter
yeah.
in the most like creepy, not like perverted, but just like very like haunting, scary way. And it's just like it's so good.
That's crazy.
She's
No, man.
9 years old, dude, and they're in the ring. The whole Mysterio family is in the ring, and Mysterio's out there to celebrate his daughter's birthday with the like WWE and everything. And
Yeah,
Punk interrupts and starts singing happy birthday to him.
that's CM Punk is unhinged, bro.
Yeah,
The segment that he did on Monday Night Raw with Seth Rollins, I thought was great. He kept waiting for the music to come. The music never came. Then Seth shows up from the stand. They're still chanting his name. He calls him a fan. Bro, it's just it's poetry and it's so good. And then when they start fighting, that thing went on forever. There was so much buildup.
yeah.
That was really cool to see. I am excited for the Seth and CM Punk rivalry. That I think could main event WrestleMania.
Yeah, but okay, I'm not gonna speak too soon. Because they've announced it for Netflix on Raw,
Yeah,
Raw on Netflix, whatever.
yeah.
Um, I don't think the match is gonna happen. That's my prediction. I
Mm,
don't think the match is actually gonna happen. Because how do you not continue to build that to? You're so close to Mania. Why would you
so
not just
close.
wait and build to that?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Like, so I don't think if it happens, I don't think it ends properly. I don't think there's a
yeah,
definitive winner. I think either it becomes no contest, maybe Drew interferes,
yeah,
maybe Sammy and Jay and Drew, and it becomes a whole big ordeal.
yeah,
Or it just doesn't. They just start brawling and the match gets thrown out, something like that. Like, there's no way they're putting this match on Netflix. Like, I get it's a big deal. I
yeah,
get it's a big deal, but like, come on. Come on. This is a match, like you said, it's made for the main event of WrestleMania. It was planned to be the main event of WrestleMania Night 1. Why
yeah.
would you not do the same thing? Like, why would you not stick to the plan?
I agree. I agree. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. All right. The other match that I want to talk about was my favorite match of the night would probably actually be Chelsea and Machine. Seeing Chelsea win was nice. I feel like Chelsea's put in the work. She deserves it. I know you're not a Chelsea fan, but I like to see someone who's worked their ass off finally get their their whatchamacallit, their just desserts.
I agree with that. I know when I was watching the match, I said like I literally because I knew this was gonna come up. I knew you were gonna say that. So I was
Yeah,
just like, but this is the thing. I respect every wrestler as long as
yeah,
they're not like an awful, horrible human being. But
yeah,
like I respect their work so much. And there's without a doubt Chelsea has put in the work with her character. And she's
yeah.
not a bad wrestler. Like she's a good wrestler. They don't have her showcase her wrestling because her performance ability is so good. You don't need to, right?
Yeah,
Like you
yeah.
don't need to have her do a lot of wrestling moves when the crowd gets into her just from her talking, her
The
mannerisms, and all
crowd were
this.
chanting her name. That was
Yeah.
crazy. I'd never seen the crowd cheer for a heel like that in a match like this.
I mean, yeah, New York is and Long Island is a special place
Mhm.
for like the wrestling fans,
Yeah,
especially because her husband Matt
yeah.
Cardona, formerly known as Zack Ryder when he was in the WWE, is
Uh-huh.
from Long Island.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's right.
Yeah, and she even used his finisher in the match. It
What's
was
his
like the
finisher?
jumping leg drop. It's called the Rough Rider,
The
and
Rough
it's like
Rider. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
called
Oh, is that why he was popping when she did that?
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, that's why everybody afterwards was chanting "woo woo woo" because that was Zack Ryder's taunt at the time when he was in WWE. So it was. I think it's a cool moment to also have her win it here in Long Island, and like kind of like as a homage in a way to her husband and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm not mad she won it. I first of all pretty much expected it.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, like you said, she's worked hard to like get people to react to her. Like that's the goal in wrestling is to get
Yeah.
people to react. If you get people to react, you deserve everything. If you
Yeah.
can get people to cheer or boo whatever it is you're supposed to do, you deserve everything. And Chelsea has done that brilliantly. And I actually think it would be really cool. I had this idea while watching the match. If they turned her face because she's getting cheers, right? So they
Yeah.
make her face, turn Michin heel
Mm.
and have her be this like vicious heel.
Yeah.
And honestly, have her take the title from Chelsea. That will get people to boo her. Like,
Yeah.
have her take it this week. Like, people
Mm.
will hate that. And they will boo her because as we share, they share that same feeling of like Chelsea's earned this.
Yeah.
So have the person who earned it lose the thing that we feel they deserve because they earned it. And
Yeah.
just have Michin be so vicious and just like brutalize her. Instant babyface.
That is true. That is true. I mean, yeah, people are really like, especially like after that dumpster match. Like, I feel like people really, really enjoy that, and that's putting in work, putting yourself into a situation like that. And then the gag of her smelling for weeks, like it was really, really good. Though I really do enjoy Chelsea Green. I think that was really, really fun. And then the final match was well, not the final match, but the last one we haven't talked about yet, with Gunther, Finn, and Priest. What are your thoughts about this match? I feel like this match, this was the match where I was like, okay, maybe a title can change hands, but then like halfway, I knew it wasn't going to Finn. It was obviously not going to Finn, but I was like, maybe it could go to Damien, and then what they could do is like, because they're showing this whole thing about like how Gunther is losing his edge and he's not as like feared anymore. So it would make sense for him to lose his title without actually losing his title. Like, you know, Damien could get the pin on Finn, and that way he technically didn't lose. But no, they just went with Gunther winning and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, a little disappointed with the match, because they need to do something with Damien. Because I'm like, where are they going with this? Like either wrap this up or make it more exciting. It's just been a little convoluted. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good match. I thought it was a fast-paced match, a lot of like hard-hitting action.
Yeah,
So that was really fun to watch. Didn't expect Gunther to lose it, so I was just like, okay, we're just gotta get through this chapter of whatever, and like, but I agree, like the Finn Damien, much like Rhea Liv, it needs to wrap up. Like,
yeah,
at least Rhea Liv had something interesting about it with the whole Dom thing,
yeah.
right? The
I'm hanging
dominate
from the Shark Tank and everything.
from a Shark Tank, Liv, you know, like seducing him,
Yeah,
getting into the Judgment Day. That was all like interesting stuff for their
yeah, it
feud.
was good story.
Finn and
Yeah,
Damien have had nothing. Like he betrayed him, and then it was just beat downs. Like it's just there's again literally the same thing I said about Liv and Rhea. I keep doing it.
yeah,
Give us more, add more to the story. Like, you know, like these two are supposedly like we're supposedly so close.
yeah,
Tell us something about these two when they were friends, like they were on a team. Like, just give us something of a reason to care. Like
yeah,
when Kevin Owens turns on Sami Zayn, there's always something they tell us. They tell us these two spent the last 2 decades in the independent scene coming up together. They're best friends.
yeah,
They've traveled the world together.
yeah.
We get none of that with Finn and Damien. Like,
No,
not the fact that they were in like the most dominant faction or one of the most dominant factions in the
right.
past like 2 decades, ruling everything. Like, there's just these two now hate each other. And I'm like, okay, but like give us a reason to care about why they hate each other.
The whole reason that they hate him is because there were supposed to be no leaders in the Judgment Day, and now Finn is like becoming a leader. It's telling everybody, "You listen to Finn, you win." And it even seems like there is a faction happening within it. It's like JD and Finn, and then there's Rachel and Raquel and Liv and Dom, right?
Yeah.
And with Carlito also probably. And like I'm trying to figure out like what's happening here. Like what's happening with
Carlito's in the faction, dude.
yeah,
I
Carlito is randomly in there. He doesn't do anything.
yeah, he doesn't even do his little like comedic stuff anymore, right? Like
Yeah.
remember when Liv and was like seducing Dom and he was making all those like funny comments and stuff?
Yeah.
really do. He's like sort of flirting with Raquel-ish,
Yeah.
kind of. I don't know. It's weird. Also, because like I think there's a pretty decent age gap there. I know they're like adults, but it's just like whatever. That's not the point. The point is like I forgot he was there until you just mentioned him.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I'm just like he's not doing anything. Um, but yeah, I think they're starting to splinter the group even more. 'Cause I
Yeah.
think it's just time for the Judgment Day to end. I
Yeah.
think all of them would do better on their own.
Yeah.
I think
JD with his big head.
Dom would do better
Finn is
on his
actually a
own.
really good wrestler. I like watching his matches, but I'm just like tired of the story.
Yeah, no, Finn's a good wrestler, and like he's been third, fourth wheel actually behind Rhea, Dom, Damien. He's been fourth wheel in the Judgment Day.
Yeah.
And then even now it's Liv and Dom, so he's still like third wheel in the Judgment. Like he's never been the big deal. He's never been the focus. They've never given him character or reason to like care and
Yeah.
you know like they had a chance. They could have made it that Finn plotted out this whole thing with the manipulation of Liv,
Yeah.
right? Like maybe he was the mastermind behind Liv going after Dom,
Yeah.
and you know, like he orchestrated obviously Damien's fall and Rhea's fall and everything because he saw those two getting too big for the
Yeah.
group, you know. But no, they didn't do any of that. They just made him
No.
a guy with he's like, and then JD's kind of more notable just because he has a big head, but like,
God, his head is so huge.
so
Oh
I
my
don't
God.
know. It's really weird. Like, and I'm not even the biggest Finn Balor fan,
Yeah.
but I just don't get why a guy that's quite talented is not
Yeah.
being used better.
Yeah. No, I agree. What are your thoughts about the Braun Breaker and Ludwig match that happened in the following? That's another story that I'm just like really tired of. Like I do not care about the Intercontinental title at all now because it's just like the same three people going after it, and now I'm just like really, really tired of it. Ever since I feel like Braun Breaker got the title, it's been a boring card.
Oh, I feel vindicated. I've been saying this the whole time since he debuted on the main roster. I've been saying, do not push that man. And everybody's like, no, but he's got the spear and he goes like 23 miles. He's boring.
He is
He's
so boring.
bland. He has no interesting things about him. And part of that is, I think part of that is him. Part of that is the writing. The writing is definitely a part of it because they're
He
just like,
doesn't even know if he's a heel or a face. He's just like every time somebody talks to him, it's different.
yeah. Like I was reading the results because I actually didn't watch Raw. I was reading the results and I was just like reading about the match. And I was like, oh, you know, like Ludwig was working on Braun's shoulder or his back
Yeah.
or something. And I was just like, wait. Usually the person who's getting worked on is a face. I thought Braun was a heel because he attacked Jay. What is he? Make up your mind.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the match wasn't bad. Ludwig put in
Sure.
work. Ludwig put in work this match. Like I've never seen him like that. I almost thought he was gonna take it.
Dude, I need Ludwig to have his Chelsea moment. That's what I want.
Ludwig has been a team player taking the most L's this year. I think somebody on TikTok did a thing, and he had like a 97% loss record this year.
Dude, there's a website that keeps track of all this.
Yeah.
I forgot what site it is. I'll look it up later. But like, I'm sure once the year ends, they'll have all the data of like people's win-loss and everything. We'll come back to Ludwig and see like he's like like 97% because we're gonna have Gunther lose, so they had to have Ludwig lose. The whole past like 2 years or whatever.
And the thing is, he's a team player. He's like taking these L's, but like
he's so good.
He's really talented. I think he could be a good like actual heel if they let him. Like he has the chops, but like he's held back in Gunther's shadow.
He's
a little
the
bit.
Perfect mid-card heel. Like he's
Yeah.
perfect to hold one of those titles, US or Intercontinental, for a while. Have a long like not it doesn't have to be a Gunther size reign, but like just like a good couple of months where he like is just so sneaky and conniving and just keeps winning, keeps retaining through like cheap tactics, like old school heel stuff, right? Like just like the cheap stuff of like, oh, the ref isn't seeing, poke to the eyes, get the finish in, right? Feet on the ropes, go real old school with him just cheating to win in the most basic ways, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're bringing back the old school feel with Saturday Night Main Event, have him do that stupid stuff. That is just
Yeah,
like,
definitely. Somebody just mentioned Ludwig looks like a Bond villain. Like that's a character he could play, like
yeah.
a really good Bond villain, right? So yeah, I get that.
I think he could be like a mastermind type, like that very just like calculated. Oh my god, like, oh,
Yeah,
okay, Braun Breaker. I know his thing is like speed. So what am
yeah,
I gonna do? He's gonna like target the ribs or the leg, right? That
yeah,
way he can't run. And not just in the match. I mean like backstage attacks with
yeah,
like weapons to the knee or something like that, leaving him like limping to the ring. And then like
yeah,
he just, takes advantage of the knee, hits a finisher, gets a quick roll up. Like there's really like he's just one step ahead, 5 steps ahead all the time, and
yeah,
just like sits in a chair like this in his promos. And he's just very like, like a super villain layer type like
yeah.
promo, just like cuts
I
his
feel
promos.
I feel like he could really do that. And the only thing is like they didn't even do a like a rival with him and Giovanni. Like he betrayed Giovanni. Giovanni came back, got lost 2 matches within 1 minute, and then disappeared again. I was like, you had a great story, like him and Giovanni fighting with Ludwig.
Yeah.
Nothing. They didn't utilize that.
Now, yeah, this is the thing about Triple
So
H
someone
is
said in the comments that the barking for Braun is pre-recorded
is
audio.
it?
There aren't actually people barking in the audience.
Wait, I don't know if they're just saying that if that's true, because if it's true, that's hilarious.
That would
That
be
is,
pretty. I mean, WWE has been known to do that, like
oh
to
yeah.
keep crowd noises in the audio and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, they've suppressed boos before. They've
Yeah,
thrown in cheers when they don't need them or when they want to. They've piped in noise. So I wouldn't be surprised. But like, I I guess I personally just believed that there were people doing the barking thing. But I was like, has Braun even ever done the barking that people would know to do the barking? Like,
he has, and like right before he enters, he's talking to somebody, and he goes, "The dogs are barking," and then he just like walks
a
in.
loser. He's
And
oh my god, I can't stand him. And this is the guy we pushed over Carmelo Hayes and Ilya Dragunov. I'm losing my
oh my
mind.
god, Ilya Dragunov would have been such a good person to be in this card.
If he was getting the push that Braun was getting,
Yeah,
he would be infinitely better. I am telling you, because I've watched Dragunov for a long time now. He makes everything so compelling. Just
yeah,
the way he like emotes his
yeah,
emotions for even just like a Gunther chop, insane for like
yeah.
so crazy. Braun doesn't have that, and like,
Dude,
dude,
Ludwig chops him, and he goes, "What? That's what we're doing, chops!" And just turn and just like no sells it. I was like, "What the hell?"
that's the other thing. They're trying to make Braun like a superhero-esque like
They're trying to make
persona.
Goldberg,
Yeah,
and
basically.
and Goldberg's never been a character people cared about.
Yeah, and he's never been like his character work has never been interesting.
Yeah,
And the reason people did like him was because he was silent and he just had short matches where he
yeah.
dominated. So if you're
And
gonna do
and
that, do
it
that.
was a different era. Like
Yeah,
people, like the kayfabe and everything was different back then, and people really thought that he was just like this unstoppable beast. We
right.
didn't know he just couldn't wrestle.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We didn't know the reason the matches were 2 minutes was because he couldn't go longer than that.
Yeah,
Oh my god, yeah. But like to Braun's credit, he can wrestle. He's a
he
good
can.
competitor. He's a good athlete, all that stuff. But he's got no personality yet. And like the little bit that I've seen of him, they instantly removed
Yeah,
when they brought him to the main roster. Because like so in NXT, he was teaming with the guy Baron Corbin. You might know him. I don't
yeah.
know.
I mean, Baron
Yeah.
Corbin.
So they were teaming together in NXT and they were having these really like goofy promos where like Braun was kind of a himbo, basically. He just
Yeah,
like, but it was working. He was being funny and charming and entertaining. And
yeah,
then they brought him to the main roster, like, no, we gotta be the serious dude who runs
yeah.
fast, and we talk about the mileage and like, I don't care, dude. I don't
I don't think that
care.
mileage is right. Ain't no
It's
way
not.
he's running 23 miles per hour.
It's 100% wrong. It
He
is so
doesn't even do
exaggerated.
it that well anymore. I remember the first few matches I saw him, I was like, "Whoa, he's going really fast." Now he doesn't even do it that fast. It's so annoying.
Dude, I don't know if you've noticed this. Some of his spears, and like this maybe isn't just his fault. I think it's just but it's because of the way he does it, or whatever. But they don't connect smoothly, or the,
No.
the person doesn't sell it well. I don't know, whatever it is. The timing is off, and the spears do not look smooth. Roman
Yeah.
Reigns, say what you want, he always hits, or 99% of the time he hits a perfect, beautiful spear, right? Like more hits than misses by far. Braun Breaker,
I'm not a spear fan at all. I don't care who's doing it. The
that's
spear is the
fine.
dumbest move to me. I'm just so tired of it.
That's fine. I don't disagree with you there. Honestly, I feel like we could do a whole episode on like moves, that like are underrated, overrated, and stuff like
Yeah.
that. That'd be fun. But anyway, but like I think you would agree that like Roman spears are like clean for the most
Yeah.
part. They're like clean. Bronze are very hit or miss. Like it's either like really good or not. It doesn't connect well. And I feel like lately it's been more of the not connecting well scenario.
Mm. Yeah. No, makes sense. Makes sense. The only story that I think is like the most interesting at the moment, and this is another side of me who I like the Jesse Ventura whatchamacallit pathway of being a little bit of a heel commentator. The New Day. Yo, I fuck with the New Day. I think the New Day is right. They get booed so much they couldn't even explain it. The boos were insane. I love what they're doing with like the whole like everyone in the wrestling team and everyone is kind of like bashing them. But I don't think they did anything wrong. I don't think they did anything wrong. E could have been there as a manager for such a long time. Bro was out there commentating right before every PLE, not once out there supporting them. Bro, they were right to drop him. I'm the only person. I'm like, Kofi, I get it. You were right. Kofi, like when they explain what they're saying, I'm like, they have a point. They have a point. He could have been out there the whole time.
You're the only person because you're so wrong. That's the reason you're the only person, dude.
What do you mean? I think Kofi and
It's very
Xavier Woods are right.
simple. You go, hey E, we really love for you to be by our side at matches. And then if he says no, then you have a conversation about it. They could have picked up the phone. These are brothers. They are in contact with each other every day. The fact that they never went like, hey man, like, I understand you're recovering. Hopefully at a point when you feel more ready, you could be by our side. We really miss you.
No, because the thing is, like, it's rude for the person to tell the person who broke their neck to come back. The person who broke their neck has to offer, or else it's rude. You can't do that. And the fact that
I'm sorry,
no,
you finish first. You finish first.
I'm just saying, like, if I broke my neck and I offered to come out, that's great. But if I broke my neck and you asked me to go out, I'd be like, the audacity of you to ask me. I have a broken neck. Like, you can't do it that way.
But by your logic, what they're doing is also the audacity.
Well,
the man broke his neck, and they're like, oh, "But what about us? What about us? You broke your neck."
But he
but
offered.
Like, who cares?
He offered to come back as a manager. That means that offer was always on the table.
No, not necessarily. Have you ever thought, maybe the fact that I think my career is now over, I don't feel good being around the ring anymore, not being able to do what I love to do. This thing I dedicated 10 plus years to my life that I now can't do. Yeah. Oh yeah, no audacity there for someone to be inconsiderate of that. But like to ask for someone to come join me, whoa, that's messed up, dude. Come on, get out of here.
It's too little, too late.
Yeah, it's too late because they never asked. They never reached out to E. And the fact they're like in kayfabe, they're like these really, and in real life, they're like these really close friends that apparently don't talk every day, though. Like, how do you not have the conversation literally anytime in the past like 2 years or whatever?
Bro thought his two best friends beefing for like a good 3 to 4 months and decided at the end to come back when they're having their 10-year anniversary. At the moment they're announcing that they're breaking up, then he comes back. Come on.
Which is also the nonsense, because again, these guys talk all the time in kayfabe and in real life. So even in kayfabe, you're telling me E never said anything? That's nonsense. I don't buy that. I don't buy that E never was like, come on, guys, what's going on here? Like, let's work something out.
We don't have that in canon. We don't have that. I don't know.
Okay, which is stupid, which is why the storyline is stupid, which is why I don't care for it.
What? I love this storyline.
I hate the storyline. It makes no sense.
It's my favorite one.
It's utter bakwas. It's bakwas. It's nonsense. It is so terrible.
I like not agreeing with you. It's fun.
Oh yeah, no, I love this. I love that. I like that also genuinely have like a difference of opinion.
Someone in the comments said y'all both right.
I mean, yeah, again, back to what I said earlier, it's like all of wrestling is so subjective. Like you
Yeah.
can make an argument for I can make an argument for literally any wrestler's motives.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what they did. I can justify it if I really want to. I on TikTok, on my videos where I talk about
Yeah.
wrestling, I often heel on John Cena, and
Yeah.
people get so triggered. They get so upset. It's the funniest thing ever. And now I do it because it's funny. I do it because I genuinely don't care for Cena. I kind of just don't like him. But I do it more because it makes people upset. And I love it. They're like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? Like, oh, Cena did this, Cena did that. I just laugh at their comments. I'm never bothered by their comments. I don't even reply to their comments other than saying, like, pointing out the things that Cena has done wrong. Because that's what you have to do as a heel. You ignore, again, it's selective. You ignore all the stuff that makes sense for why things shouldn't be your way, and you just focus on the wrong. So I can forever, as a John Cena hater, focus on the fact that he, in 2010, made the decision, or at least influenced the decision of not having a new faction go over him in a match at SummerSlam. I will forever hold that against him. I don't care what goodwill he has done since. I will forever hold that against him. And I will always use that as a justification for why Cena is awful. And that's all I need. And I will never, that's a hill I'll die on in wrestling. Cena is awful for the business.
The thing is, I totally skipped the Cena era of wrestling.
You're so
I don't know anything about Cena.
Dude. You missed but like I'm not even exaggerating. You missed some of the worst times of WWE. Like objectively, from a viewer standpoint and a rating standpoint, objectively some of the worst times. Like
that's crazy.
This is another reason I get annoyed when people are like, "Oh, Cena's." Objectively, the viewership and the ratings were not good when he was at the top. So who do we blame? We blame the top guy, because when it's good, we say the top guy is the reason for it. People love to say he's the face of the company. Look at all the good he does. What about all the bad he did? No one wants to talk about that because they love Cena so much, and I say screw them.
Fair, but I am still in the new heel day. I want to see them succeed even more, just so they know that he was holding them down. He was holding them back.
So
now they've shredded that little bit of consciousness that they had about E, and now they're going to go all heel.
Listen, if the New Day are brilliant as heels, like they started off as faces technically for like a month, and then they turned heel. They're brilliant as heels. I love them. I love Kofi, Woods, and Big E. They're some of my favorite wrestlers. So I will never be upset with like them as performers and what they do. And if this heel run becomes something amazing, which I expect it because they're just so good, I will applaud them and I'll love it. But I still think the story overall makes no sense and should have never happened.
It's so good though. But the thing that when there's a kernel of truth in the story, it makes it so good for the heel.
Zero kernel of truth. There's not even a tiny kernel.
Bro, it's a Garrett's popcorn bucket of truth.
The cord will never pop because there's nothing there.
Listen, you'll hear the pop when they get booed out the stadium. They can't even get into the locker rooms. How, who is Rey Mysterio Jr. to freaking kick them out of the locker room? All because they don't want to hang out with their friend anymore? Like think about it. The over exaggeration for like the security guards and everybody to like boo him. First of all, the security guard works for the stadium. He doesn't work for WWE. What the hell is he doing?
They should boo him. They should boo him for the terrible storyline.
Freaking Rey Mysterio Jr. with like, no, I can't let you in, and like they couldn't even wrestle. They couldn't even wrestle. They couldn't even come out to address the audience because they couldn't find a place to change.
Darn right.
So funny.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm just not into it because I think the whole storyline's trash. But
the other thing is like when Kofi was going after Xavier Woods, they were saying things that were like so hurtful that my feelings were hurt. Like when he like, you did all that and you lost it to Braun. Whatchamacallit? What's his name? The big guy.
Yeah, Bork.
What the hell's his name? Oh my god, I'm spazzing on him.
Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, yo, these are some mean things that they're saying. And then when like you go on their Twitter and they're like, we wanted to address the audience and explain our view, but they wouldn't even let us. And I was like, yeah, that's true. They wouldn't let them explain. They got booed so hard they couldn't even plead their case. And now they can't change in the locker rooms. Like
nothing to plead. See, the
fucking
thing is, the
like
difference is the things they were saying to each other were true.
yeah.
George has never held a singles title. Kofi did lose to Brock in 6 seconds.
Yeah.
All of those things are true. What they said to Big E wasn't. Because again, you could have just picked up
No,
the damn phone.
it was true. He could have
Picked
came
up the
back.
phone.
He
And they
could
could have picked up the phone and asked. It's very
waited,
simple.
He waited too long. He waited too long.
Best
I get
friends
that.
don't do that. Best friends don't keep quiet like that.
Best friends don't see their friends fighting for 3 months and not do anything until you get to be on air.
They should have said something.
No. I think when you and your friend are beefing, like the last thing you have on your mind is to include someone else. If someone wanted
That's not true at all. That's not
well, like if you and me are besties and we have a mutual bestie, I'm not trying to get them and have them pick sides.
No, I would never have someone pick sides. I'd ask them for their perspective, though.
He's got television. He's been watching. He's seen their perspective.
And again, this is where I'm now blurring kayfabe and like again, it makes no sense that none of them would speak to each other about it.
Well,
like there are sometimes where they do this, and it really frustrates me because it's like Triple H and Stephanie get into like something happens on an episode of Raw that gets them upset with each other, right? And then they come out the next week to address it.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you live together. You sleep in the same bed. How did you not have this conversation in the past week? Like
we don't know what these wrestler schedules are like. They don't see their spouses for days.
They work at the same company. Stephanie, they go to the same office meetings. You can't argue with like the New Day travel together, right? So like the fact that like Kofi, there's some KV I can spend my disbelief of like, okay, these two are kind of like upset with each other. They can't resolve their issues, and week to week it's getting worse. But to act like the three of you have not spoken about this on your own is so frustrating to me. It makes me just dislike this storyline.
But I don't know. And I love the way like I was like when I'm medically cleared, and they're like, "You're never getting medically cleared." I was like, "Oh shit."
Maybe it is, probably not. I don't know.
That's crazy. That stung a bit.
I mean, it's what a lot of people feel at this point is going to happen, so that's why it makes sense. That one's true, and that's sick to say, but you know,
yeah, I don't know. I am enjoying this. I do feel like there is a lot of potential here, especially when the stuff they say is true. And my favorite part about this is the whole thing started with Caden Cross. Like he was the guy who's, whispered in their ear and got them to turn on each other. And he's also doing it with the Miz, and he's also doing it with some of these other people. And now they're going after the Wyatts. Though I do feel like the Wyatts have lost steam. I'm not as into the Wyatts as I was when they first came. They were just coming out like they were going to be the next big thing, and they kind of just fizzled out now.
Yeah, that's a writing issue, honestly. Like you just didn't book them, which is weird.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's very unfortunate. Hopefully it turns around. But yeah, I'm interested just because I like the characters all so much, so I want to like continue supporting them. But like, yeah, there's nothing interesting going on about them right now, which is sad. So yeah, but yeah, I love the fact that like this all stemmed from Karrion Kross, a guy who, my opinion, changed in 2024. I did not care for this man one bit. But then I started to see what they did with him and Woods, and I was just like, oh, okay, there's something here. And then it continued with the Miz. I was like, oh, okay, this could be really cool to do of like this like devil on the shoulder type character. I've said that before, but like I think that's cool and it's different. It's unique. It's not something we see often, and so and he's good at it. Like his promo and his mannerisms, I think they work really well for this. So hopefully it continues. But yeah, it's
that's true. All right.
What were you gonna say about him?
What are they gonna say? I don't know. I was probably gonna say his wife's hot. I don't know. I was probably gonna say something like that. I don't remember. But other than that, I really don't. have anything else, I think that's the end. Is there anything else we missed that we didn't talk about?
I mean, I guess it's a big deal in one way that the Judgment Day lost the tag titles finally.
Yeah, to the War Raiders. That was good. And like them having it made no sense either. They've had it for like over like 100 something days, and they defended it only 3 times and twice to the War Raiders.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I WWE has a weird thing about tag teams. They just don't like pushing the tag division. It's really
Yeah.
sad. Um and like I'm glad that it's off the Judgment Day,
Yeah.
but I have no hope that they're going to do anything with the War Raiders reign. So
No. It looked like they gave them a gimme where they're like, oh, their story is really good and they were really hurt, and now in their hometown they're gonna win the titles. Like it's like a feel good story, but then they're like, all right, now let's give it to like a real person.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens. Probably nothing, but I hope to be proven wrong.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. Well, anyway, thank you so much for being on the show. Before we go, let people know where they can find you.
At Nuv the Poet on TikTok for the time being, Instagram, and then Nuv on YouTube because I'm planning to post there more. Also, everything is Nuv the Poet other than YouTube, so Blue Sky, to Twitter, X, whatever. And yeah, but yeah, Nuv with YouTube. I'm planning to do more like long form type videos of all kinds of stuff. Definitely some wrestling related things. So yeah.
Cool, man. Well, check it out, guys, and don't forget to follow me at Watch with Neves everywhere everywhere toys are sold. I don't know where else you can watch that. But thank you guys for joining us, and until next time, guys. Salaam, nerds.